Good morning. Week 16 NFL DFS for FanDuel and DraftKings. We got the semifinals for the fantasy football playoffs. If you are still lucky to not have faced Kyle Pitts or Puka Nakua the last 2 weeks. And obviously, thoughts and prayers go out to Joel this morning. Packers lost, got in their ass. This has been the worst week stretch of all time. So, Joel, sorry about you, but hopefully you're doing okay everywhere else in the world.
Jameson, have you ever seen the slasher horror movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I actually have. I've not seen a lot of movies, but I think I've seen. Is
Okay.
that Jennifer Love Hewitt or whatever her name
It
is?
is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a terrible movie, but the killer in that movie uses like an ice block hook to impale and gut his victims.
Yep.
I've never personally been impaled with an ice block hook, but I would imagine it feels like watching the end of that game last night did. Just unbelievably gutting. Brutal.
Well, hopefully we can lift your spirits up today. Probably not. Probably picking you up off the floor at this rate.
And to add insult to injury, that Jordan Love getting knocked out in the second quarter probably just dusted a bunch of my dynasty teams.
Right.
In the playoffs. And everything's coming up, Joel.
Well, hopefully things get better for you. I don't know if they can, but we're going to try our best. So, like I said, semifinals for the fantasy football playoffs. If you have any comments, if you need any matchup advice, we'd be happy to help you. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We got 7 games in the early window. We got 4 in the late window. We had 2 games played last night. They were not very good until kind of the end. But we'll kick things off here. Let me pull up the solver here with the Minnesota Vikings going on the road to face the New York Football Giants, which this is a slate that is interesting in some ways and not so interesting in other. I think it's one of the better slates that we've had in the last month. So we'll kick this bad boy off with the Vikings at the Giants. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I was too depressed to update the lines and totals this morning. So these are from yesterday. Vikings 2.5-point road favorites, 43.5 is the total. So implied 23 for Minnesota, 20.5 for the Giants. This is a fun game, especially for the Vikings side. Like Aaron Jones a lot because I like playing running backs against the Giants defense. I could see Jordan Mason getting there as well. And it felt like they were really trying to get Justin Jefferson involved last week. It still didn't feel like he's totally bought in. I think there was a lot of plays where he didn't think he was getting the ball, and McCarthy gave it to him. It's like, oh, crap. I think he's in play this week as well, just as cheap as we've ever seen. He's $6K on DK. That's just – he's below Wan'Dale Robinson on DK. That's an affront to humanity. That's ridiculous. So – I think he's in play. I like McCarthy as kind of a cheap quarterback as well. And I do like the Vikings defense in this game quite a bit.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson's pretty interesting. He's more of a DraftKings play than FanDuel because he's still kind of priced up there. Yep. But, I mean, everybody's off of him. We know, obviously, the talent. J.J. McCarthy has quietly, honestly, been pretty decent. I don't want to give him too much street cred because it's still – I don't know. He gritted into the end zone, and maybe that's just the boomer in me, cut that out. But
yeah,
there's still some funky stuff about it. But they're going up against the Giants defense that's been honestly pretty bad, given all the talent that they have and should be playing with. But I think this kind of go back and forth. I am worried about CTE boy Jackson Dart going up against Brian Flores and the blitz. Seems kind of like a match made in hell for him. But the way he runs and stuff and just has no care for anything in the world. I think it kind of sets up as we have Josh Allen, we have Dak, not in the best spot. Jared Goff, we'll talk about in a little bit. And then Jackson Dart kind of sits here in this pocket. CJ Stroud, you don't know if he's going to get pushed. We know Jackson Dart's got the running ceiling. And
how are you starting Dart ahead of Mayfield? How are you making that click?
You shouldn't, but I mean, somebody might.
Right.
So, I mean, as long as you can, stomach the couple blue injury tent visits that he does each game now, because it's like death taxes and Jackson Dart getting checked for concussion. But it's not like a good matchup, but just on this weird quarterback slate. Like Trevor Lawrence turned into, ever since I've made fun of him, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, but he's in a bad matchup. So I think he's a little more interesting. Obviously, this would probably be more of a tournament play than cash, but I think it's interesting. I like both running backs. I like Tyrone Tracy too. Tracy, we talked about Aaron Jones. He finally got away from the Jordan Mason experience. Tyrone Tracy's 5,700 on DraftKings. FanDuel, 6,300. We got those two guys. We have Michael Carter, who's going to end up being chalk. We'll talk about him in a little bit. And then it's basically a bunch of expensive running backs. So the way you kind of build it, I think both those running backs are viable there. And then, I mean, Wandale, I don't really like any of the pass catchers against the Vikings defense. I think if I was going to play Dart, I'd just probably play him alone. I don't know if that's ignorant of me, but that's kind of where I'm sitting there.
Like Dart is bad against pressure, and even without Vikings player like Jonathan Grenard this week, but they can still really bring like Flores is as good as anyone at bringing the blitz and pressuring quarterbacks. So this just feels like a bad matchup. Like they couldn't beat Washington. Like couldn't put up points on Washington last week. We were jamming Theo Johnson last week.
Yep.
Couldn't get him involved. If you can't put up points on the Washington defense, there's no way you're doing it against Minnesota. So yeah, I'm honestly off of the entire Giants offense this week.
I think it's fair. So I'm not really into anybody else except for Tyrone Tracy. Like Wandale, Darius Slayton, those are guys I'm never going to get to. I got to Wandale last week, and that's my fault for even considering that because I normally don't. But one last guy we didn't talk about, Jordan Addison. And should I bring up Jalen Naylor because he is the wide receiver you need for the Vikings? You want to get that deep in the bag? I mean, Jesus.
How frustrating is that? Just absolute nonsense.
Jordan Addison, 5,900.
The guy's going to go like 3 for 40 with 2 touchdowns every game. It's just an absolute joke.
Yeah. So it just, I don't know, man. Times are tough for this Viking stuff. Like, I think we both quietly like Justin Jefferson. It's like both of us are like in the closet trying to come out to admit that he's a good play.
Yep. I think he is a good play at 6K.
And then last tight ends, I don't really have much interest in Theo Johnson. TJ Hawkinson, I'm not either, but he's a 3K tight end on DraftKings and FanDuel. I just got to bring it up.
He's almost, I mean, I've been on him for a few weeks and he just hasn't really gotten there. Other than that, he had the touchdown against Washington, but Josh Oliver had 2, so he wasn't that good.
Right.
He's almost at a price where you can just jam him into, if you need to save salary, you can just jam him into a flex and figure he's probably going to get, he's probably going to pay off that salary.
Yeah. So defenses here, Vikings are middle of the pack. Like we talked about, Brian Flores blitzes a lot, so I think it's interesting that they can kind of rack up and kind of tee off. And then Giants defense is bottom of the barrel. I think both are fine, but I'll be honest, there's a lot of punt defenses that I like today. All the good defenses are at the bottom this week outside of Texans. So
we'll get to the Bill. Bills are my favorite defense this week. I think the Vikings are probably my second favorite.
Really? They are up there. I was debating between them and Chiefs in a season-long league that I have, and I've kind of wanted to lean into the Vikings with all the problems on the Chiefs team. So it just, I don't know, man. We'll see. So next game here, before we pull it up here, Mr. Fantasy Football Show himself. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a great morning. So next game, another interesting one. It'd be a lot better if Tuanon was in action, but it is not. We got Cincinnati Bengals coming off a brutal loss where they didn't score any points going to Miami. And we get Texas quarterback legend himself, Quinn Ewers, starting for Tua Tagovailoa. Oh, my God. That was terrible. I just mumbled through that. So, no Tuanon. Bengals coming off a big loss. Seems like T. Higgins is going to play too. So, what do you got for us on this one? He's
cleared protocol.
Yep. So, what do you got for this one?
We get the Bengals 4-point road favorites. 47.5 is the total. So 25.75 implied for Cincinnati, 21.75 implied for Miami, both these teams look like they gave up last week. Dolphins just no-showed Monday night against Pittsburgh. Cincinnati just completely no-showed got shut out against Baltimore. Feels like this could be a new Joe Burrow game coming back. There's been a lot of talk, in the Cincinnati about, him and his motivation and everything. I think like this could be, this could be an FU game from Joe Burrow coming. Miami has been good against opposing receivers, but we saw DK Metcalf get there on Monday night. So we'll see how that plays out. Like you said, T. Higgins has cleared protocol. He's back this week. So like Chase, I like Chase Brown as well. I like all those guys. On the Miami side, like Quinn Ewers in college, terrible, just absolutely terrible throwing the ball down the field, 0 accuracy. So I think Jalen Waddle is just off my board this week. I think it's really bad. I think the offense is going to run through Waller and Devon Achane. So I like those two quite a bit. I think Cincinnati's defense is so bad that plus he's going to get Waddle's going to get DJ Turner. So this is just a terrible on paper matchup for him. Could HN and Waller get 80% of the targets in this game? I think the entire offense is going to funnel through them.
Yeah, and it's kind of frustrating. I wish I would have waited one more week before they'd made this court. I'd feel a lot better if it was Zach Wilson, the MILF Hunter himself, playing.
I agree. I don't know why you're not seeing what you got in him.
The problem
is something to have.
The problem with that is Devon Achane is 9,800. So, I mean, he ends up, and a big part of that, honestly, it wasn't as much of the dump offs. He was like really good, and the offense was playing better until last week, which, I mean, they were playing in the cold. Everybody's known that for the last 5 years, that the Dolphins just do not like cold weather for whatever reason. But Achane ends up being the highest running back on the board, so I don't think he's going to get played much. Darren Waller ends up being in a really nice spot, but at the same time, I mean, it's Quinn Ewers throwing him the football. It's the generation.
He's so cheap. He's so cheap, and it's the Cincinnati defense against tight ends. It's really hard not to click him.
And we saw last week the Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely both couldn't get there, even though they got blown out. So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. The likely zero was just devastating on so many fronts. I had him so many places.
And Waller ends up in the Dalton Schultz range of guys. Brenton Strange. I mean, Juwan Johnson, we'll get into it in a little bit. I like him a lot today. So I guess probably in large field tournaments, if you want to play Quinn Ewers because he's cheap, he's not even that cheap.
He's not that cheap.
Yeah. No. This is not like the punt play of a lifetime. He's $4K on DraftKings, but he's 6,300 on FanDuel. So it's not like you're getting away with anything there. You brought up the Burrow stuff. He's probably not going to get played. And anytime you get the Burrow doubles under 10%, I mean, I'm always all in on that. I don't think the Dolphins defense is anything to be scared of. I think Joe Burrow will be fine. I know Cincinnati sucks, ownership sucks, and all that stuff, but this nonsense where Joe Burrow's going to quit or retire or be Andrew Luck, I don't really see that. But Jamar Chase ends up being expensive. T. Higgins coming off 400 concussions. I mean, he gets hit with a steel chair every week, and they just, I didn't see nothing, pal. Just go back out there. I do really like Chase Brown this week, and the reason why I like him is running back is very hard outside of the top plays and Michael Carter. And this middle tier, we got James Cook, who ends up being expensive. I think it's a better match than expected. Bucky Irving, Javonte. You're probably going to have to get something right in this realm. RJ Harvey's not in a great matchup. Sure. And Breece Hall, why Breece Hall is more than Chase Brown in 2025 is beyond me. But Chase Brown ends up being a mid-tier 7,200 running back who could get 2 touchdowns easy. And then he gets the workload. Samaje Perine came out injured last week. I think he's fine, but I just I kind of want to lean in Chase Brown here in this spot where I don't think he's going to get clicked at all. He's got the better upside than a lot of these running backs in that range, and then just kind of sets off that way too. So last thing here, this is going to sound very ignorant. I'm very open to playing Bengals defense as a punt play. Is that the stupidest thing I've said on the show in 2020? I've said a lot of stupid stuff.
Playing against a rookie quarterback is always sound strategy. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
So I do think Bengals defense is viable. I'm not. You said at the beginning the Dolphins team total is 20+ points. In what world? Respectfully.
Well, they're going against the Cincinnati defense.
I don't care. God, 20. That is a lot of respect for Miami, the Tuanon, and all those guys. So I just
it is.
Anything else on this game? Any interest in Mike Gesicki or Noah Fant? No. Yeah,
no.
Easy.
Gesicki with both those receivers out there is just basically a non-factor. If one of those guys is out, then he's of interest. When they're both out there, no, I don't want him.
Yeah, so easy enough. Next game, I think, is honestly pretty fun on this slate. We got Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road for the Panthers. This is basically a playoff game for both these teams. Panthers are a little thin on making it, but they do have to get through the Buccaneers, and I believe they might play each other again.
Yep,
in a couple weeks. Yep.
Twice in 3 weeks. Yep.
This ends up being a pretty big game. So what do you got for this one?
Yeah, this is a huge game and one of my favorite games of the day. Tampa 3-point road favorite here, 45.5 is the total, 24.25 implied for the Bucks, 21.25 implied for Carolina. Name a piece I like. It's we're back to the original Bucks, where we were just afraid. There were so many options in the passing game that we didn't know, who to take. I'm guessing a couple of them are going to get there. Maybe Bucky Irving gets there as well. So just which ones are going to do it. And then, I think this game could shoot out. I think this could be kind of similar to the Tampa Atlanta game last Thursday, where both teams hit 30. I think this could be that kind of game script as well. So I like Carolina side as well. I like Rico Dowdle. I like Tet McMillan. I like Jalen Coker quite a bit at his price. Yep. He's one of those pay down receivers that I like a lot this week. And Baker as court. I'm kind of good playing Baker alone. If you're kind of afraid of, to commit to one of these receivers, I would kind of lean toward Mike Evans. Remember 3 years ago, championship week, Mike Evans went 10 for 207 and 3 touchdowns against this same Carolina team. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. So I could see another nuke game from Mike Evans coming as well. So he's where I'm leaning to. But if you're kind of afraid of too much distribution of the wide receiver core, I'm fine playing Baker naked as well.
Yeah, I guess I will spoil one of my flag plays to end up being Mike Evans. He nuked last week on limited target share. Like their version of easing them in is not
limited
really
snap share. You got a ton of targets, but just not snaps. Yeah.
And I think that'll ramp up. We played this at the beginning of the year, and we played this a lot last year. What's Baker Mayfield? You bring the couple wide receivers and the running back along. I'm a little worried for Bucky Irving at his price at 8,200 because he is still splitting a lot of time with Sean Tucker. We saw Sean Tucker in the red zone. We know Rachaad White gets randomly there. So I'm a little worried about him. I'd rather play it through the wide receivers. Big Mike Evans, he's 8,200. And then on DraftKings, he's going to end up being in that same stratosphere, probably a little cheaper, 6,300 on DraftKings. And I like Chris Godwin too. Ibuka, for whatever reason, has just fallen off. It just seems like him and Baker Mayfield are just not hitting chemistry-wise. And I think with Godwin and Evans back, that kind of pushes him to more thin role. I think he's a great tournament play because nobody's going to click him. But let me pull up Chris Godwin's price, 5,800 on FanDuel. That is a great punt wide receiver. And I don't even think that's punt worthy. 5,300 on DraftKings, and then Ibuka will end up being 5,900 on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel he ends up being 6,500. I'd rather play Godwin than Ibuka straight up, so you get the price difference there on Godwin being a little bit cheaper. K. Dotton is, that's tournament play only. I don't think I've ever clicked K. Dotton in my life, just respectfully. So I don't.
I have not.
And then on the Panthers side, Tetero McMillan, he's going to end up being active. I think he's a great spot here today. I wish I could flag plant this entire game. I guess I will. I will flag plant the entire game. But I think Godwin's in a great, McMillan is in a great spot, 6,800 on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings he ends up being 5,800. So I like Godwin, I like Mike Evans, I like Tetero McMillan as my bring back. As far as the running backs go, do you have a lean as far with this Panthers?
I think it's Dowdle, clearly. If you look at the way the Bucs have been beaten on the ground, it's to the edges, right? It's and in the air. So Chuba's more of a between the tackles kind of guy at this stage. And so, I think if they're going to do anything against the Tampa defense, it's going to be through Dowdle. He kind of took over last week. I still think he kind of consolidates that role. I could be totally wrong. It's every time we felt we had a lean on this, it's been completely wrong. But I'm going to play it through Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard's not part of my board this week, but I do like Dowdle quite a bit. If it is Dowdle, then I think this is a chance for him to have a really good game.
Yeah. Hubbard came back, had one good game, and then went exactly right back to his very limited role. So Rico, he's fine. I'm a little worried about his ceiling over the last month and a half, splitting time and stuff. He's 7,600. And then we also just never really like playing anybody against Vita Vea. That's been kind of a staple, it seems like, for a long time for us. So 6,300 on DraftKings. I do, for all the Coke heads out there, Jalen Coker has been very good since coming back off IR. 4,400 on DraftKings. FanDuel, if I could pull it up and hit the right buttons, he's 5,900. We got a lot of really good punt wide receiver plays this week, and Jalen Coker is one of those as well. So,
Yep.
Bryce Young is not somebody I'm getting to. I'm sure you're probably not either, but if you want to, that's going to be more of a large field play. So, anything else?
I think he's viable. We've seen ceiling out of him. The floor is non-existent. The floor is the basement, but we have seen some ceiling, yes, especially in these division games. So, I think he's viable. I don't love it. I would rather play Baker, but yeah, I can see it. I would rather play another NFC South quarterback. We'll get to it in a little bit.
Yep. So I think that is it for this game. Like I said, defense this week, I'm interested in some other stuff, and I think this game kind of goes back and forth. So I think that's it for this game. For the next one, Sean, thanks for the help last week. Keep me at the top of my weekly DFS league. That's what we are here for. So
all you, brother. All you.
Yeah, appreciate you tuning in. Anybody out there, if you need any help, spiritual guidance, need us to pray for you, we'd be happy to do so. Make sure, cheap plug, to like and subscribe. I feel like I always forget that every week, so appreciate you guys tuning in. Next game here, the New York Jets go on the road to the Saints. Saints, big home favorite, who are quietly been honestly pretty good. Seems like Brady Cook will be playing again, and then Tyrod Taylor will be the backup. No Justin Fields. He is gone or retired, whatever happened to him. No Mason Taylor. So just basically no Alan Lazard. He has been quietly released. Probably will end up being a Pittsburgh Steeler here too shortly. So we've got the Jets at the Saints here.
Yeah, Saints are 6.5 game home or 6.5 point home favorites in this one. 40.5 is the total. So Jets 17 implied and 23.5 implied for the New Orleans Saints. Speaking of the NFC South quarterback that I just mentioned that I really like this week, it is Tyler Shuck. Yeah. We saw Trevor Lawrence do a nice little Josh Allen impersonation last week against his Jets defense. So yeah, I'm going to have a ton of Tyler Shuck this week. I'm going to have a ton of Shuck doubles with Olave and Juwan Johnson. No Devon Vele. He's out for the year. So I think that's going to consolidate the target tree to probably Olave and Juwan Johnson. I'm not touching Audric Estime. I don't think he's an actual NFL player. So if you want to use him as your punt running back, have fun. That's not my kind of bag. Could get there. I've been burned. I've been burned by fading these guys before. I mean, we've been burned by Michael Carter again today, probably. Yep. So we'll see how that goes. Jet side, I'm not doing anything with this team except as I've got one tournament lineup that's heavy Saints and using Breece Hall as a bring back. But that's Tyler Shuck is my cash game quarterback this week. I'm gonna have a lot of cash. Shuck, Olave, and in tournaments and in cash, like that combination. I love Olave this week. But yeah, I just Breece Hall is only a bring back in very large field tournaments.
Yeah, I'm not playing any Jet stuff. Not on the Adonai Mitchell experience. That's probably me being very biased because I dumped on him for 2 months and then he had the game of his life. So I do like Tyler Shuck. I really like Chris Olave. I thought he was going to be another flag play of mine, but I didn't want to hang out in the NFC South the entire Sunday in the semifinals. So, but I do want to. Chris Olave has quietly gotten there this year. They're in a good matchup finally. He's 7,700 on FanDuel, on DraftKings. He's 6,500. He's one of my favorite clicks. He's got no target competition outside of Juwan Johnson. And, I mean, Taysom Hill's been quiet. I don't want to jinx that, but Audric Estime, he's not a very exotic back. Like, he doesn't do much besides run between the tackles. I mean, it's not like he's getting dump-offs, and we've done that experience. But Chris Olave's had some monster games, the targets. I think he's viable on FanDuel, too, this week, just because I think that they'll score touchdowns. Tyler Shuck has quietly been more than just serviceable. I mean, he's been pretty good, and he runs a little bit. Not enough to change your life, but just enough to get there. He had a couple rushing touchdowns a few weeks ago, so I'm right there with you as far as cash game quarterback. I think he's a fine play. And then tight end, especially if you are on DraftKings and have to shove in 2 tight ends this week, I think Juwan Johnson ends up being the second wide receiver there. So 4K wide receiver on DraftKings, FanDuel. He's going to be 5,100. I think he's fine punt play if you want to play some Saints stuff. And then as far as defense goes, the Saints are down there. They're 3,500 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
They are probably probably my favorite play of the day as far as cheap defenses go. Saints, different story on DraftKings. They are up there. So one is FanDuel is drinking too much.
A little tougher on that side.
FanDuel is drinking too much eggnog, and then DraftKings is not enough. So, or vice versa. Anything else on this game? I'm not playing Brees Hall. I know you said large field. I'm not doing it personally.
It's only as a bring back onto heavy. He's got like 10 fantasy points last 2 weeks combined. He's not involved in the passing game, but yeah, it's only kind of as a flyer and a bring back in case that game script just goes completely nuke, which you're probably going to need to win a large field tournament.
Right.
So otherwise, yeah, in my cash game lineups, I'm not touching them.
Yeah, I will say this: it is the fantasy football playoffs. There's a lot of weird remember me games, and Brees Hall, like Tony Pollard, the last couple weeks has turned into prime LaDainian Tomlinson. So I probably shouldn't dismiss it near that much, but I just, like I said, I'll get off my rant there. It's just the Jets. Sorry, JJ, love you, but Jets stuff is not stuff I'm into. But next game here, Buffalo Bills, big road favorites going against the Browns, who are decimated on the offensive line. Bills coming off a big comeback win against the Patriots here. So seems a little lopsided. There's getting kind of tough. We got Myles Garrett trying to chase the sack record. So there's actually a lot of decent stuff to get into. But how are you feeling about this Bills and Browns game?
Yeah, I got Buffalo 10.5-point favorites. 41 is the total. So 25.75 implied for Buffalo, 15.25 implied for Cleveland. This is a game where, and again, Cleveland is a team I think where we need to separate who they are from who we thought they were. Like earlier in the season, they were like an elite run defense. They were the second or third best run defense in the league. Not so anymore. Ever since Malik Collins got hurt in the San Francisco game, they've been giving up big time running games. So yeah, we do not be afraid of James Cook, and yeah, just don't think this is the same Cleveland team that we saw in weeks 1 through 10, because it's not the same team. So yeah, I like James Cook quite a bit in this game. I could see, I'm always going to be afraid of fading Josh Allen in games like this, just because I could see them. Yeah, I expect them to run this game through James Cook, but this is a game I could easily see Josh Allen get like 3 rushing touchdowns as well. So I think Buffalo is going to put up a lot of points in this game, and I love Buffalo defense is my favorite play of the day. This team. Cleveland's another team that's basically given up. They looked absolutely atrocious last week in Chicago. Looked like they didn't want to be there. So Quinshon Judkins against the Bills' run defense is pretty bad, but he's not the kind of guy that beats them. The guys that beat them are the guys who can get to the edges and kind of get up big chunk plays like Trevion Henderson did last week, like Bijan Robinson did earlier in the season. Quinshon is not that kind of running back. He's not the kind of to get out big chunk plays. So yeah, even though the matchup is great on paper, I don't think it's that good a play. Only thing I'm interested in at all on the Cleveland side is Harold Fannin, but there's so many good tight end clicks this week that I'd much rather play like Juwan Johnson or something like that. So
yeah, the Quinshon Judkins play is honestly the Nick Chubb play of the last several years. Like great matchups. Right. You play him, and then I mean, just the offensive environment has just gotten so offensive that I don't think it's really viable. Harold Fannin is interesting. I think he's more of a DraftKings play. I think he will get receptions. I do not think he will get yards. The Buffalo Bills
or touchdowns, because I don't think they're going to score touchdowns.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills are really good against the tight end. I mean, Harold Fannin can have. I think last week he had 12 catches or 14 targets, excuse me, but didn't really get 48 yards. That's probably. I mean, he'll have 10 to 12 targets and under 50
12
yards.
Fantasy points on 14 targets is insanely bad.
Yeah, that's not
that's an offensive problem, not a him problem, but
right. Yeah. Fannin's going to get played though. I just want to give heads up to everybody.
He is. Yep.
James Cook is another guy that I really like this. I'm not afraid of Cleveland. I'm glad you brought that up because I think people see Myles Garrett and be like, "Oh man, Cleveland defense is respectable." They're not. I mean, they're going to get
the same defense. Nope.
No, they're going to get slapped around a little bit. James Cook is underneath. I think he belongs in the Jahmyr Gibbs Bijan tier, but he's
I do
not going
too.
to get. He's not going to get priced like that. He's 7,700. Probably one of my favorite plays of the day. So he ends up a little cheaper on FanDuel as well. 8,800, still expensive. I'd rather play James Cook over Bucky Irving, Javonte, Rico Dowdle, obviously, and then a lot of people are going to lean into Gibbs and Robinson, and James Cook has that same ceiling. I know that you have to worry about the Josh Allen vultures, but I like James Cook a lot. Dalton Kincaid, I believe he's going to play. I think he's a fun tournament play as far as tight ends go. 5,700, and probably the same for Dawson Knox because I'm just not into any of these wide receivers for Buffalo. He ends up being 4,300 on DraftKings. We've seen a couple ceiling games from this year. So anything else as far as, I guess I'll bring up Shakir's price, but Buffalo's been really tough to figure out outside of James Cook and Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm not touching Shakir. He's just so hit or miss. Like I said, the floor is the basement with him. So, and this could be a game environment where they just don't need to throw it all, and everything runs through Allen and Cook on the ground. So yeah, I'm not touching anything in the Bills receiver side. Yeah, I don't mind Kincaid. I think he's fine. He can get a goal. He had a full practice on Friday, so remember last week he was pretty limited all week. Questionable up to game time, and then Dawson Knox got pretty involved in that game script. I don't think Cleveland is going to push the Bills the way New England did last week. So yeah, I can't get to Knox this week. I don't mind Kincaid just because I think he's going to have a bigger low, but I don't love him. I think there's much better clicks at tight end this week.
Yeah. The only reason why I bring up Dalton Kincaid is because when he's healthy, I think he's the number one for the Bills. Or at least he showed that earlier in the year. So it sounds like we're both really in on James Cook this week. And then you brought up Bills defense. 3,500 on DraftKings and then FanDuel. They're going to be up there as well. So 4,900. Browns offensive line is just dead in the water. Shedeur Sanders throwing up that clock. That clock is broken. I mean, he has looked really bad last couple of weeks. So I don't know what looks worse, the Shedeur Sanders experience the last couple of weeks or this next game that we have. The Chiefs, small favorite on the road, Tennessee. It is week 16. Travis Kelce's retiring. Patrick Mahomes is hurt. Rashee Rice is out. I mean, I don't think there is a chance in hell that this game. Oh man, what could have been, I guess, for the fantasy playoffs. It just looks absolutely terrible right now for this game. So if there's anything at all, please inform the people.
Yeah, this feels gross. KC 2.5 point road favorites here. 38 is the total. Tied for the lowest total of the main slate. So 20.25 implied for KC with the Gardner Minshew experience. 17.75 implied for Tennessee. This feels like a 38 total game. I'm with you. This just doesn't. Gardner Minshew, the Raiders who are just desperate for any kind of competence at quarterback, benched and cut last year. I just don't see it. I've seen the Travis Kelce narrative that, they're in Nashville. Taylor Swift will probably be there. Travis Kelce's had bad games when Taylor Swift has been there before. So I could see him. I don't want to have zero Travis Kelce because I can see him just being the focal point of the offense with no Rashee Rice. So I think either he or Worthy are viable at their price. Worthy's crazy cheap this week and will probably lead the team in targets. He could get a bunch of just bubble screens and stuff and kind of get there. Tennessee secondary is just absolutely brutal. Their Jets level bad. So yeah, I could see a couple of those plays leaking and either of those guys getting there, but I don't love it. They're not going to be focal points of my DFS lineups this week.
Yeah, I don't understand the Travis Kelce stuff that he is going to lift off his last couple games. I mean, shouldn't he done that when the Chiefs were chasing for the playoffs? So I don't get there in Nashville. I mean, he can go to
he's still limited at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not into porn stash boy Gardner Minshew. That's not I'd rather play Tyler Shuck. I think he's more respectable. The one thing I do want to give off, this is a tournament play. This is a very goofy, but I think makes a lot of sense if you just kind of sit back and think about it. Tony Pollard pair it with Titans defense. I do not think
I don't mind it.
I do not hate it. 5,900 for a guy who has looked like prime LaDainian Tomlinson the last couple weeks. He's gotten the volume all year. He just hasn't hit the home run ball. Chiefs have so many injuries on just
Yep.
this entire team too. So you get both of them, Tony Pollard, and then you pair it with Titans defense that's going to be bottom of the barrel. 2,500 on DraftKings, FanDuel. They end up if this pulls up, they're going to be bottom of the barrel too. 3K. I mean, that's about as cheap as it gets. You get probably 15, 20 touches out of Tony Pollard. He rips one off. Fantasy playoffs, goofy stuff happens. Tony Pollard's the guy you need to win.
Yep.
So that's, I mean, it's really going to be Tony Pollard for me, and that's about it. So I do have a question real quick before we get off here. Tony Pollard or Gainwell on FanDuel? I will lean Kenny Gainwell because he has looked very good the last couple weeks. He's getting a lot of dump offs. I think they'll be in a position where they are playing from behind, going up against the Gibbs. I like Gainwell a lot this week, and I was going to get into him. So, Joel, you have a preference on that?
What's their pricing on FanDuel?
Pollard is 5,900, I believe. Yep, and then Gainwell is 5,800.
5,800.
Yeah,
I was going to say whichever. I was going to say whichever one is cheaper. I think I'm with you. I like Kenny Gainwell in that game script because I think they're going to have to throw, and I think that's like Aaron Rodgers trusts him, and like I said, I think they're going to have to throw a lot. I think Detroit's going to score a ton of points in this game. So yeah, I would lean toward Gainwell just because I think he's snap share, better game environment.
I know Pollard's had the big games the last couple weeks, but this floor of 4, 6, 4, 1, Gainwell's going to get dump offs, and I think he's better play than Jalen Warren this week. Just kind of
remember the Chiefs are a very good run defense. Like they completely shut down JT a few weeks ago. So
yeah,
this is not I'm with you on Pollard. I can see it happening. I don't mind that combo with the defense, but I think you need to build around that. Whereas Gainwell, I think is probably just a good play.
Yep. So that's kind of where I just didn't want to dismiss it because all we've done is dismiss the Titans. It's been a great process. That's not yeah, but just
right.
Trying to point that out there. Just something different for tournaments after the last couple weeks. So last game in the early window looks a lot more fun on paper than I do think in real life. We get the LA Chargers on the road facing the Dallas Cowgirls. Chargers seem like they are just hobbling into this. Offensive line's banged up. Herbert's got a broken hand going up against the Cowboys, who I thought would be a lot better. They just got eliminated from playoff contention. Seems like we get Lamb and Pickens and all those guys are back. So are you liking this game as much as it seems like other people are, or is this just kind of
I like a part of this game. We got Chargers. I've got them as 2-point road dogs here. How does that make sense? That make sense? Chargers 2-point road dog. I think the wrong team is favored. 50-point total in this one. So 24 implied for the Chargers, 26 implied for Dallas. Dallas got eliminated last night with the Philly win and looked like they gave up last week in that Sunday night game against Minnesota. They looked like they had no interest in playing. So I do not understand how the Chargers are not favored in this game. The Chargers are 10-4, man. They're really good.
Yep.
I love Amari Hampton today. He's one of my favorite clicks on the board. Remember Dallas before the trade deadline, before they acquired Quentin Williams, was just terrible against running backs. They were right there with Cincinnati and the Giants as the worst running back defenses in the league. Quentin Williams got a concussion. I haven't heard if he's cleared or not. I think there's probably a chance he just doesn't play today. Even if he does, I still think this is a great matchup for Hampton. Like, people are kind of concerned about the Vidal split. Vidal's only in there on like passing downs as a blocker. All the value touches are going to Amari and Hampton. He's 5,800 on DK this week. He's going to be in almost all my lineups. He's probably my favorite play of the week. So yeah, I love that. I'm okay with the Chargers as a punt defense just because we saw Dallas just not do anything last week against the Vikings. Similar defense. They don't blitz as much as the Vikings do, but very good in coverage. They just they play a lot of zone and just kind of swallow everything up in front of them. Jesse Minter is probably going to be a head coaching candidate this offseason. So yeah, I don't want to have zero of the Cowboys passing game because they are so talented and they're good, and I could see this being. You can see this being okay. This is FU. We're just gonna go out there and sling it all over the field. We're out of it. Let's just have some fun. I could see that, but I just think I think the Chargers defense is too good for that. So I'm not going to be heavily invested in Dallas in this. Like I said, Chargers passing game just isn't getting there. The Herbert hand stuff, the offensive line issues. I kind of don't see ceiling, even though it's a great matchup. But yeah, I'm going to be playing this game through Amari and Hampton. Maybe Chargers defense because, like I said, I could see Dallas just kind of mailing this one in.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. If you look on paper, I mean, especially earlier in the year when the Chargers were like their pass rate over expectation was through the roof, this matchup on paper would have been awesome. But ever since he broke his hand and the offensive line injuries, they're just going to run the ball. So I love that call on Marion Hampton. He was a guy that was kind of on my short list of big guys. He's not going to get owned. He's 6,800 on FanDuel and then 5,800 on DraftKings. So he ends up in a nice spot, especially if people are scared of Kamani Vidal, who has been fine, but it just
don't.
I mean, yeah, don't be scared to play Omarion Hampton. I think that's a really fun tournament play, and I kind of talked about it earlier. He ends up in this realm of there's a couple running backs that are at the top that are expensive, but Hampton, people are going to play Michael Carter, obviously, but he's kind of in that James Cook realm of possibilities. So we've seen them run the ball a lot. Cowboys, I love Dak. I love playing the double. They've kind of been like the Baker Mayfield of last year where I was clicking them relentlessly, no matter the matchup. I'm not too scared of the matchup itself. I know the perimeter for the Chargers has been really good, but the pass rush hasn't been anything to shake a stick at, even though they've played really good defense. It's not like they're playing, Myles Garrett or anything like that. But I don't love it for Dallas. I thought they'd be a lot better this year. I think they'll be fine. I think Pickens and Lamb, I'd rather have them as one-offs than having the full-on Chargers or, Cowboys stack. So, and especially the last couple weeks, George Pickens has not been good. He's 7,300 on DraftKings. FanDuel, he's 8,800. I mean, that is a hefty price to pay for George Pickens.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's been my
no-showed last week.
Yeah, and that's been my dog all year. That's my bro. But I mean, him and Lamb, like if you play him with Dak, it ends up getting very pricey because you're basically paying $9K for both wide receivers, and it just eats up a lot of salary. So I like Amari and Hampton. I think Ferguson is a fine tight end play. He's 6,100. I would rather punt, honestly, at tight end or pay up for McBride or even Bowers. We'll get to here in a little bit. But Ferguson's fine. I think you'd rather play him in a stack. And then I like a Hampton a lot. Any interest in Ladd McConkey? After the last couple weeks have been just absolutely brutal for him?
A little bit. He's the only Chargers receiver that him and Gadsden are really the only Chargers receivers I'm interested in. I'm not playing QJ. I'm not playing Keenan Allen. If I'm going to play a Chargers receiver, it's either McConkey or Gadsden. Yeah,
I would lean Ladd. Ends up being kind of the bring back if you're going to do the Cowboy stuff. I'm not really interested in Gadsden. He's had a couple looks, but he just has not gotten there at all. I mean, nobody, and even Ladd hasn't gotten there, but he's in a good matchup. Probably going to have like at least 50 yards. I think his line was 54.5 or whatever it was. I'd take the over on that personally. I think it's a good get right spot for Ladd, but I don't think he's going to be nuking the slate or anything like that. So both of us are on Omari and Hampton, obviously, and then Chargers defense for you, they're 3,800. I brought that up earlier. So that's anything.
Yeah, I think the Chargers can be a nice contrarian defense if you want to get a little bit different this week.
Yep. So I think that is it on this. Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, those are punt plays. I'm not playing them. I mean, Chargers have not been throwing the ball. So I think
TJ may not play either. So I think you're going to need to watch the inactive report for that one.
Yep. So before we get in the late windows, we do have some defensive questions by Mr. Erickson. Appreciate you tuning in. Vikings, San Francisco, Patriots, or Dolphins. I'm going to eliminate two here. The Dolphins going up against the Bengals. I don't like that. Patriots going up against Lamar. Compared to the other two defenses, it's the Vikings and San Francisco for me, unless you have. Well, I eliminated two. You might not agree, but I think that's.
No, I would eliminate San Fran too because they've been really bad against running back. So I could see this being a JT Nuke game as well. especially on the road. So yeah, I like I said earlier, I love the Vikings in this spot against the Giants, against Jackson Dart. I think it's a great matchup. So this would be easily the Vikings for me.
Yeah. San Francisco is probably a floor play just because another week of Philip Rivers at my homerism coming in. I think he'll look a lot better than week one going up against the Seahawks. But Vikings, Brian Flores going up against a rookie quarterback. They blitz a lot. So I'm right there with you. I think Vikings are kind of a defense that could break the slate here. So if you got any other questions, anybody else, make sure to drop those in. Make sure to like and subscribe. As we get into the late window, we got 4 games left. And we will kick this off with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence turning into the greatest of all time, going to Denver, who has won everything this year. Seems like a defensive slog to me, but I might be proven wrong here. How are you feeling about this one?
I like this game quite a bit. I think this is one of my favorite under the radar games of the week. Jacksonville, 3.5-point road dogs here. 47 is the total. So 21.75 implied for Jacksonville, 25.25 implied for Denver. Denver's defense is very good, but they've made a lot of hay against bad teams. We saw just a shell of a Packers offense without Zach Tom. He left early. Christian Watson left early in the second half. And that team almost put up 30 against them. This team can be had. They had that bad, brutal game against the Giants. You can exploit this Denver defense. So yeah, and we saw Trevor Lawrence just go absolutely nuke last week. This is an offense that's really clicking. So yeah, I think this game is really under the radar. I'm going to have a lot of pieces of this game. I want to play a lot of. I want to play a lot of Cortland Sutton because he's gotten 10 targets the last 2 weeks. Like him a lot. I like Jacoby Myers. He's just a safe floor play every week. Don't know how much Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to have. I think he's going to get matched up with Surtain quite a bit, and Surtain is really good, as we saw last week, and that just insane interception on the deep ball to Christian Watson that knocked Watson out of the game. But so yeah, I think Nix is in play. I think Trevor Lawrence is in play. ETN's in play. Yeah. I don't love Harvey because Jacksonville's really a pass funnel, but again, we've seen him get 3 touchdowns on 6 touches in one game. So I don't want to totally fade him either. So I think this is a very under the radar game that I want to have quite a bit of if the field is going to go against this game.
I guess before I say anything else, I have to apologize to Trevor Lawrence, I guess. I mean, this is a quarterback that I've dumped on over and over and over again. He shows it right up there, 47 points last week. He has quietly been pretty good over the last month. It seems like Jaguars are starting to heat up in play to win the AFC South now that the Colts have fallen off a cliff. I don't love the matchup for him. Travis Etienne without Bashal Tootin, he was the flag plant last week. He ends up going off. One of the only good calls I've had this year. I mean, I've had a couple, but felt really good about Etienne. He hits there. I like him this week. I think people are going to be scared to play these guys going up against.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to play Etienne.
Yeah, 7,400 for Etienne. He's gotten a massive workload. He's been a top 10 running back this entire year. It's kind of like DeAndre Swift, like that group of guys that nobody just ever in the million years wants to click. But if you think through the process, they should be there. He's 7K on DraftKings. So I think he ends up, especially with the dump offs, if the Broncos get there. Broncos defensive line matches up pretty good against the Jaguars offensive line that still has some holes in it. Jacoby Myers just got paid. He's been really good, like you talked about. He ends up being a good. I'm not really interested in Brian Thomas Jr. this week, but Myers is 5,500 on DraftKings, and then on FanDuel he's 6,300. He's gotten there. I mean, 12, 18, 13. So he's pretty good floor for him. I think I like RJ Harvey a little more than you do. It seems like I just think he's got the dump off stuff. We'll see about Bo Nix. Are you interested in Bo Nix today?
I don't love it, but I think you have to be, just because Jacksonville is such a pass funnel. Again, we've talked about it quite a bit on the show. They're a defense. It's not a great defense. They're kind of like the Bears. They get their own turnovers. But you like we saw Brady Cook put up points against them last week. So I don't want to be completely fading Bo Nix because especially he's got that high floor because of the rushing upside as well.
Yeah. So Bo Nix just never a guy that I've tried it a couple times and it just burned me so bad that I just can't do it. But he's Cortland Sutton. He's quietly gotten there. He's kind of guys like Troy Franklin, those guys, they've kind of fallen off. So both defenses are good. Are you interested in any defense? I wouldn't.
No, I don't want to play the defenses in this game.
Yeah. Brenton Strange coming off a bad week. I think he ends up setting up nice if you want to play him. 5,300 on FanDuel. And then as far as Denver tight ends go, Evan Ingram, 4,800. I'd probably play him with Bo Nix stuff. I'm not going to play him by himself. I'd rather play like Juwan Johnson or even Darren Waller, those kind of guys. So trying to think anything else on this game. I don't think so. Is there anything else that I think we covered? It sounds like you like this game a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, I think the field is going to be down in this game, so I like this as like a contrarian tournament game to stack heavily.
Yep. So good deal. Next game before we got another question in here. Start one, half point PPR for tight ends, wide receiver, half for running backs. We got Darren Waller, Ashton Genty, Woody Marks, Stephon Diggs. So seems like Woody Marks is going to be out. I can check real quick, but it didn't sound promising for him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be out. He got a limited practice in late in the week, but Nick Chubb is basically back and healthy. So yeah, honestly, in that format with the 1.5 PPR for tight ends, I'm going to go with Waller because I think he could get double-digit targets this week with Quinn Ewers in. So, like Diggs, he's only playing like 60% of the snaps. They play him like a slot receiver. Not that they play him in the slot, but
right,
he's like an outside receiver that plays slot receiver snap share. Genty, yeah, you really got to squint to see him getting there against. We'll talk about their total in a little bit. They've got a 12-point implied total. It's not the lowest of the year. So yeah, I don't love that spot either. Marks with the health issues, I can't really get there. Yeah, so this is going to be Waller for me.
Honestly, I'm right there with you. I feel more comfortable if it was Tua, but Stephon Diggs has been a part-time player. I don't know if they're going to unleash him for the playoffs or what, but they just haven't. I thought they'd ramp him up throughout the year. He's part-time. Matt Collins shows up with no shoes on, plays just as much as he does. I mean, Marks, like I said, I don't love it with Nick Chubb. And then Genty, 12 points is probably too much. I think they're being very generous going up against the Texans. So in this format, it's going to be Darren Waller for me as well. So good luck with that there. Couple games left. Next one, the Atlanta Falcons. We finally get Drake London back going up against the Cardinals and the Jacoby Brissett experience that has been absolutely rocking. A little worried about it here because they won't be trailing, but we will see about that. So Falcons at the Cardinals here.
Yeah, Atlanta is a 3-point road favorite here. 48 is the total. So 25.5 implied for the Atlanta Falcons, 22.5 implied for Arizona. You hit on it. This Cardinals pass game experience has been all garbage time when they've been trailing at the half. I don't think we're going to get that game script. I think it's going to be closer. So is this the week that everything falls apart? I don't think so, but I think it's tough for Michael Wilson with sounds like Marvin Harrison is going to be back. So I think that's going to cut into his target share quite a bit. Drake London, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, Drake London doesn't get hyper targeted by Kirk Cousins. He does get targeted by Kirk Cousins. It's just not as much as he got super hyper targeted by Michael Penix. He's still a target monster with Cousins in the game. So I want to play some Drake London in this game. I think Kyle Pitts is just a massive trap if you're chasing that game from last week. London being back, I think he's going to devour that target share. So yeah, I like London in this game. Obviously, Bijan's a smash play against the Cardinals, but he's expensive. But I want to figure out a way to get him in my lineups if possible, because he's a guy who could just nuke the slate this week. And then the Cardinal side, we talked about it earlier. I'm just going to look into the chalk and I'm going to fade Michael Carter. I just don't think he's a good player. He's still going to have to deal with Amari DiMercato. It's not entirely his backfield. So yeah, I'm just going to fade. Like I say, I've been burned by this before, but I'm going to fade the chalk on Michael Carter. And just if I'm playing this game through the Cardinal side, it's through McBride, and it's through. I want to have a little bit of Marvin Harrison, not a ton, but I am not checking Sean's question. I don't like Arizona shut down Bucky Irving last week, so forced the Bucs into a complete pass game script. So yeah, I'm not trusting Michael Carter in this game at all.
Well, I guess we're on different sides because I think
That's
I
fair.
don't
Like I
I
said,
don't
I'm terrified.
I don't love it. I've ignored the Cardinals backfield the entire year because it hasn't made sense. I think Michael Carter is I'm not like excited to play him. I do think this is finally an okay click for DFS this week. I don't love it, but honestly, if you want to beat the Falcons, you beat them through the air. So my worry about
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett is not that he's going to be bad, but he throws it 35 times instead of 40 or 50. And just that's the thing there. I'm already looking forward to next week. You get Trey McBride against the Bengals in the finals of the playoffs. So I kind of, and plus he's 8,200. I mean, he's very expensive. He's going to have to nuke the slate to pay off his price. So 7,600 on DraftKings. If you're going to play him, you're probably going to play him with Brissett. I think Brissett's a fine play today. I'm worried that you don't get
Yeah.
the super duper nuke because they can kind of keep it together. But I'd rather play it through the air with Jacoby Brissett. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. It does sound like they are going to ease him in. He's got like a heel injury. His heart is broken. Had a concussion. Just a bunch of weird stuff with him. And
Yep.
I saw a report last night that they're going to kind of ease him in. So I like Harrison. I think I like him better than Michael Wilson personally, but I just don't. I think I'm going to wait a week to play the Brissett stuff, and then, but if there's a spot for it, it's against this Falcons defense. So Drake London, he's been fine. He was a lot better, like you said, with Michael Penix than Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins really likes Kyle Pitts, but I don't know. This is kind of the Kyle Pitts experience. He doesn't show up when you need him, and then he's like flashes, and then everybody's going to be like Kyle Pitts, top 10 pick. He's going to do it, and then kind of the letdown. 6K here. DraftKings, he's kind of up there too. So there's a lot in this game. You talked about Bijan. He's obviously going to get played. He's a good play. There's a lot of stuff I like. There's not a lot of stuff that I love, if that makes sense. I'm not near as pumped to play this game.
I think that's a good call. Yep.
It's not like they're bad plays. I just would rather play some other stuff. So I can just kind of see this game being 24-20. Maybe if that, just something like that where it's good, but it's not great. So, and I
can see it. Yeah.
I'm not playing Kirk Cousins this week. Any interest in defense? Both these defenses have been absolute ass, so I'm assuming no.
No.
Yeah. So next game here, we got two more left. I don't know if it's going to be much a game. Honestly, 14.5-point favorites at home seems a little light going up against this Raiders, but we do have the Las Vegas Raiders on the road for the going up against the Houston Texans. Been rocking and rolling. Seems like Geno Smith will be back. Nick Chubb's back. We'll see about Woody Marks, but anything at all at this game? Raiders at Texans for you?
We have the Las Vegas Raiders as 14-point underdogs on the road in Houston, 38-point total, which is just insane. If you 14-point line with a 38 total, so a 12-point implied total for the Raiders. That's the lowest of the year against Houston's elite defense. 26 implied for Houston. The only thing I'm any kind of interested in this game is Nico Collins, just because I think it could be like with the running game being so questionable, Marks being questionable, sounds like Chubb is going to play, but he's still got a rib injury. So I don't like they signed Jawar or brought up Jawar Jordan or Johnson, Jordan,
Mr. Louisville himself. He was with Isaac Garendo in Louisville.
Sure.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Nothing more.
I just don't trust any of these guys to have a kind of carry share or touch share that I would want as in a cash game or in a tournament. So yeah, it's Collins, it's Jaden Higgins. I play the Houston pass or Houston defense if you want, but they're top of the price chart this week. So I just don't love that. Yeah, there's just not that much in this game that I like. Houston did give us some points to Trey McBride last week. So if you think Bowers can replicate that, we do get Geno Smith back. That probably just means he's going to throw more interceptions than anything. There's just not a lot to love in this game.
Yeah, CJ Stroud's going to get played a little bit. Obviously the matchup's good, but I mean the Raiders are not going to put up a fight. I mean this has been so bad for them.
Feels bad. Yeah.
No update on Woody Marks. I was trying to look through it. I like Nick Chubb here. I know the ceiling is. I think he is probably the 2 touchdown. You pair him with the Texans defense that's expensive, but I mean FanDuel Nick Chubb, he's 5,200. I think he's cheaper than Michael Carter. I mean that is about a punt play as it can get.
Yep.
5,100 on DraftKings. I like Nick Chubb today, especially if Woody Marks is out. Ends up getting the workload. I'm not scared of Mr. Jawar Jordan. Now that you've got it, me all confused. Him, Johnson, Jordan, all that stuff. I had to sit there and think about it for a second. Is Jordan? I don't think Jordan's viable. I know he had the good week last week, but I do like Nick Chubb here. But I'm somebody when I play DFS and you get these lopsided matchups, I always love playing the running back who ends up falling in the box twice and pair him with the defense there. Texans obviously going to be top of the line. 4K, they're going to be 5K. I wouldn't be surprised if there used to be a time defense would get up to 5,200 if they were exceptional. That happened a couple times. I think the Texans are. Raiders getting offered 12 points. Who's going to score 12 points for the Raiders? You tell me.
It's tough. I'm not touching Genty. Unless he gets there with a bunch of dump offs. I just don't see how he. I don't see how he gets there and just goes off. I don't see how he breaks a slate. Let's say that. Yeah. Your only hope is Bowers basically doing what McBride did last week in like a super negative game script where they're just trailing by a ton.
And Bowers is honestly still, he looks good. It just the team sucks so bad. You're not going to
get the team is
brutal.
Yeah,
I think he's okay as far as a tournament play because of his ceiling. But
yeah, nobody's going to pay for him this week.
Yeah, so I think he's kind of viable there. Not playing Raiders defense. Talked about Texans defense. I do want to bring up the pass catchers. We talked about Nico. He's not gotten the targets, but he's been very efficient on what he's gotten. It's not like he's been a target hog. Jaden Higgins, 5,600, a guy that burned me very bad last week, 4,100. And then Dalton Schultz, I think he is very viable at tight end, probably one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention him. I think he's a good play this week.
Yeah, he's been an absolute ass beater this year. And I still think he's been under the radar. He's 4,200 on DraftKings, FanDuel. He ends up being, if I could pull it up and hit the right button here, 5,400. He's right there with Waller and Strange, and I think he's a good click too. So that is it for this game. Last game, seems like we're going to have a lot of ownership on this one. Pittsburgh Steelers on the road going up against the Lions, who kind of got lucked out. They didn't have a tie last week, so they still open for a playoff spot fighting for the lives here. A lot to get into, a lot to like. It seems like a lot of chalk on the Lions side, but what do you got for this one? Steelers at the Lions.
Yeah, Steelers 7-point road dogs here. 52 is the total, so the highest total of the weekend of the week. So 22.5 implied for Pittsburgh, 29.5 implied for Detroit. Pick your poison, or not poison. Pick your Lions. A lion in every lineup. How do you want to attack it? I'm going to go through Jahmyr Gibbs. Just the old betting adage is when you see a streak, you bet the streak until it goes away. So just looking at Gibbs's totals here.
Every other week.
Week 6. Yeah, exactly. Week 6, he had 7.5 points. Week 7, he had 39.8. Week 9, 5.8, 41.2 in week 10. 11.6 in week 13, 37 in week 14. It's every other week, and this is that week because he had less than 10-point fantasy points last week on DK. So just feels like a new game is coming. And no TJ Watt, no Nick Herbig for the Steelers. Their defensive line is very, very beat up, very compromised. So I think they're going to run this again. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes off in those negative game scripts like they had last week where they have to pass all the time. I don't think they're going to have to do that this week. I can't see this Pittsburgh team keeping up with Detroit. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see the nuke game from Amon-Ra that we saw last week. I do like JMO. So yeah, my preferred way to attack this game is through, a Goff, JMO, Gibbs double, because I could see them both getting there. But yeah, it's another one of those lines in every lineups. We talked about Gainwell earlier. I think he's fine. I don't love DK, but Detroit secondary is just so beat up. Again, no Brian Branch. So that could lead to some leak, kind of like he had last week against Miami, where he's, like he's done all year, takes those crossing routes and just takes him to the house. I can see that happening, but yeah, don't love him. But yeah, just a lot of lines that I want to play this week.
Yeah. Gibbs is obviously going to be the preferred way to play it. I will be a little honest. I'm a little scared we've seen this kind of side for the Lions, and it's a great matchup. And it seems like they've let down a little bit in these spots. Not saying that they can't get there, but I'm worried that everybody like puts all their eggs in the basket and they do fine. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is the smash play. I need him this week. I know you listen, Jahmyr, so if you can just do your thing this week, pal. But like a lot of people are going to play Jameson Williams because he's cheaper than Amon Ra. My way to always get different. I'm pay up for Amon Ra, but if you play him and Gibbs and play it with Jared Goff, it gets very funky very quick. So
very expensive.
Yeah. So I don't think Amon Ra is going to get clicked on a whole lot. And like you brought up, I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers can be fine against it. Detroit Lions defense has been bad for a couple of years. It's just been injuries after injuries. Secondary's banged up. I know they have Aiden Hutchinson, but the rest of the guys there just kind of hard to. I think there's going to be a lot of dump offs, and that's why I like Kenny Gainwell a lot today. He ends up being 5,800 on FanDuel. DraftKings, he's 5,100. I prefer him over Jalen Warren, and he's the guy they've really trusted him. 18, 29, 16, 19 for this price point. I think he ends up being one of my favorite clicks on the day. So DK Metcalf, I'm not going to bring up the retirement home behind him of wide receivers. No Adam Thielen, Alan Lazard.
Oh.
I'm sure he's in the locker room. He's not suited up, but I mean, he's probably whispering sweet things to Aaron Rodgers. Metcalf's in a good spot here too, 5,400 and then 7,400. Like I said, my favorite way to play this is probably through Kenny Gainwell as a bring back here. Any interest in defense? I'm not playing any other. There really isn't nothing else like David Montgomery. I don't.
I could see maybe playing Detroit. I don't love it. I think there's better options. I don't think they're as cheap as I want them to be for a punt defense.
Right.
But I could. You can't touch the Steelers defense without Watt and without Herbig. That's just. Those are their playmakers on the D end. So, yeah, it would be. I don't mind Detroit if you're going to do Gibbs Detroit defense. I'm okay with that. But I don't love that.
Yeah. So, I don't think it's a click, but Aaron Rodgers is in a good spot. I mean, going up against the Lions, he has done some very naughty things to the Lions in the past.
Yes.
So just kind of bring up that version there. Jared Goff, he ends up being pretty expensive, 8,100. You're going to play him with Gibbs, obviously. They're just with Sam Laporta out and everybody else hurt for the Lions is just very concentrated. So you're not really going to get one over on anybody else playing outside of David Montgomery. You just got to play it through Gibbs, and then you're going to play it through probably Jameson Williams, but a lot of people are going to play it that way. So unless your other two punt wide receivers or running backs would be Gainwell and probably Michael Carter. So your lineup, if you play the Detroit stuff, it gets very narrow, and I think a lot of people are going to play it that way. So that's kind of why I'm bringing that up. I'm a little scared of playing it, but like I said, it is a good matchup there. So anything else on this game?
I think we hit it.
So one more for Sean. If anybody else has anything else before we hop off here, make sure to drop that in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. It's between Detroit and New Orleans stack this week on FanDuel, and he has Bijan in both lineups. So obviously both are you're probably going to get more different on the New Orleans stuff because if you get Bijan and Gibbs and they both go for 30 plus, I mean, you get to 60 pretty quick plus the other fun stuff. So if you play Bijan, both are obviously good plays. So I just said Detroit stuff, it gets very expensive very quick. If you're playing Bijan I'll shut up in a second. If you're playing the Detroit stuff with Bijan, I would love to see the rest of your lineup, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I was gonna say. Yeah, that Gibbs Bijan seems really expensive. Why not both? Yeah, if you can do it, I love both those stacks. Gibbs and Olave, we'll get to flag plants here in a second, are two of my three favorite clicks of the day. So yeah, I like both these stacks quite a bit. So yeah, if you can make it work with Bijan and Gibbs in the same lineup, I'd love to see the backside of that lineup and see where you're going and see what you're thinking. But it seems really expensive. But yeah, I love both those stacks.
Yeah. Like I said, Tyler Shuck's been really good too. So like both of them, I think you're doing very well there. So
on FanDuel, it's half PPR, so you care about touchdowns. So yeah, if you can find a couple guys like a Jalen McMillan or something like that who just happens to get in the end zone, yeah, I like it.
Sutton, Worthy, Gainwell, and Titans. I think it's viable. Sutton's been good. Worthy's going to be
those clicks.
Worthy's going to be the punt play. Kenny Gainwell, one of my favorite clicks, and then the Tennessee Titans defense going up against porn stash boy Gardner Minshew. So
I like it.
Week 16 semifinals. Wouldn't go any other different besides our flag plants to end the show here. So Joel, Week 16, biggest week of your life until next week. Your first flag plant is.
I'm going to stay away from Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'll tease the other one I just talked about. That's Chris Olave. We saw the Saints or the Jacksonville Jaguars just absolutely smoked this Jets secondary last week. I don't think Audric Estime is enough in the backfield to make me worried about them just running the ball down the Jets' throat. So I think they're going to throw it. I think with concentrated targetry without Vele, imagine saying that at the beginning of the season. So I love Olave. I think Olave could get like a dozen targets this week and maybe score a couple touchdowns. One of my favorite clicks of the week.
I'm right there with you. I've obviously saved him so you can have him, but I'm right there with you on Olave. So that'll be the joint flag plant. That'd be the third one for me, I guess. My first one here will be Mike Evans. Ramping up, division game. Seems like we're hanging out in the NFC South this weekend, which obviously is a little uncomfortable, but Mike Evans coming back. I think Baker ends up having a monster game, him, Godwin, but Mike Evans ends up having the ceiling. They need to win to get in the playoffs, so I will go Mike Evans here. And then your second one for Week 16.
Just real quick before I get to when I was drafting best ball teams this summer, like my default was when in doubt, draft the South because I love the NFC South because none of these teams play defense because of the injuries. It hasn't really gotten there, but we could see it. We saw that, basically a 70-point game between the Falcons and Bucks last week. So yeah, I love playing the South again this week because I could see it just finally coming home at the end of the season when it's too late for me. My second flag plant is Amari in Hampton. Love this matchup for the Chargers against Dallas, especially if Quinn Williams is not going to play. Again, I'm not worried about Vidal. Hampton is getting all the high value touches, and I think he could just run all over this Dallas team. I think Dallas is a candidate to just no show and just give up. I hate playing the motivation game because it can go both ways.
Yep.
But we saw Dallas just kind of no show on Sunday night. I think they could do it again this week. So love Omari and Hampton this week.
Yep. I'm right there with you. So it seems like we're on the same page. My last flag plant, it was between two guys. Thinking about Chase Brown, but I'm going to go with Kenneth Gainwell here. He ends up probably in a game script or probably playing from behind. He ends up being super cheap on both sides. So when you're talking about the Michael Carters, I think Kenneth Gainwell has shown multiple times this year that his ceiling is a lot better than people think. People are still scared of the Jalen Warren stuff. I think Kenneth Gainwell has just been outplaying them, quite honestly. So I'm going to go Kenneth Gainwell there. He's going to be kind of my punt running back to fit a lot of the fun stuff in there. You can fit, obviously, all the Detroit stuff if you play Kenneth Gainwell as the bring back. DraftKings, you get the dump off, so you get the full point PPR there. And I just think he's looked a lot better. So Kenneth Gainwell will be my second flag plant there. So that is it for Week 16. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you haven't, make sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And we got Christmas coming up, so I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yep.
We'll be back next week to go over the championship week for Week 17, where all the marbles finally come to a head, the big one. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. And before we go, Joel, make sure to let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for checking out the show all year. We appreciate you. You can find me at the Joel Wirth on Twitter for some Packer ramblings and it's just therapy sessions and on Bluesky as well. So hopefully next week we don't have another Packers play on Saturday night again. So hopefully we don't have to do another therapy session here on the Jameson Hutchison channel every Sunday doing DFS, Club Fantasy FFL, and the IDP Plus and Statement Games sites as well.
Good deal. Make sure to check Joel out on the Twitter machine, Bluesky, all that good stuff at Jameson Rules, and on the YouTube, obviously, here every week. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Good luck this week. Hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and we will see you next week. Good luck. Peace out.